Let us do this. We're live as of now, I believe. I believe we are live. Let's see. God. Come on. What are we doing on the go for? What's happened?
I'm just saying. Oh my god, we're almost live. Don't worry, it's nothing bad.
Crazy sauce.
It might be something bad.
Come on, YouTube, do something. All right. I think we're good. I think we're good, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm just posting up.
How are you all this week? How are you all?
How is everybody doing?
Is everyone still really excited about playing the Zodiac Age?
Or still really disturbed by my comments last week about how we should have some mankinis?
You made very disturbing comments.
I did. I think there is not enough mankinis in the world. I'm sorry.
Jake and I, the Final Fantasy peasant, we do look alike in the fact that...
You don't.
We don't? Yeah.
Who said you look like...
Oh, did you mute already?
Yeah. Wait, who...
No, we both do have an English accent, if that helps.
Yeah.
That's the kind of a similar way that we're...
All English people are exactly the same. That is brilliant. That is brilliant.
We are both men as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're men and we're English.
So
that's
yeah, I'm English.
Technically you are.
I am English, actually. Yeah, I do have English citizenship, but I did not gain the accent, unfortunately.
So, yes, welcome to everyone this week. Yeah, show of hands for everyone who's playing the Zodiac Age at the moment. Literally right now, or just in general. And how far have you got so far? I am at the... I can't remember how you say it, probably like the Ceta Highlands. Just left the Fon Coast on my way to Arcades. Lauren is struggling to keep up with me. Hey, what can look, we're in a difficult situation. We both have to use the same console.
I know, it is true. First world problems. We need another PlayStation, really. Another PlayStation 4.
There should be sound, little cauliflower. I think everyone else can hear what we're saying. Is your YouTube muted? But yeah, you stopped playing Final Fantasy 9 to start playing Final Fantasy 12. That is a first world Final Fantasy problem right there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think today, as mentioned, we're going to be talking about Tetsuya Nomura, the director of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But obviously, Tetsuya Nomura is a legendary creator within Square and Square Enix. He's been working on the franchise since Final Fantasy V, when he was a debugger, I think, and just working on random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VI, he got a bit more involved with the... No, is it Final Fantasy IV?
Who?
Nomura.
It was about, I think it was 5. I think he did some very rough things for 5, and then 6 he was responsible for Shadow and
I have a feeling with 5 he did like some of the monster designs and stuff.
Yeah, he was not nearly as like involved as he was with 6.
Lewis, why are we not sharing the playthrough? Well, that would be because the PlayStation 4 is not connected to anything.
No,
that would make it really eligible to share.
I mean, we have been thinking about it. But
there's no schedule.
Like logistic, yeah, it's kind of like as and when.
I play in like half an hour increments.
And generally, we are just looking like potatoes on the bed, trying to play it. Yes. On the off chances that we do get to play it.
Yeah, Tetsuya Nomura, obviously he's been working on the franchise for a very, very long time. And you know, Final Fantasy VII was really he made a name for himself both externally and internally. It was the first game where they obviously moved away from using Amano's art. They had characters designed by Tetsuya Nomura. We had this completely new art style for the characters from a concept phase, and he was also quite heavily involved with the kind of the script, the scenario crafting. I think he spoke about how he managed to talk Sakaguchi away from doing that detective story around a character called Joe, who ends up still being in the game. Joe, I think he's the Chocobo racer.
Yeah, he's the Chocobo racer.
He's the guy who rides the black Chocobo. Yeah. And yeah, like Final Fantasy 8, I think 9, he was not involved at all actually with 9, was he?
I don't
because he was doing Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think
he had the dilemma of not, because he had to change Sora's design because of the design they came up with for Zidane.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, like over the years, since like, I guess from an outside perspective, the Enix merger is when he started to his role started to change significantly, but it was already changing internally.
Yeah, he was getting a lot more responsibility.
Yeah, they were starting to work on a lot of different things, and I think obviously the compilation of Final Fantasy VII was one, like he was part of the let's say the committee that came up with it along with Katase. Tabata wasn't necessarily involved with its inception, but he was involved later on. But like the compilation was very much his product, and it's kind of since then, like as that kind of evolved into being a thing. Obviously, we had the Fabula Nova Crystallis as well, which he was heavily involved with because of Versus 13. Obviously, he did a lot of the character designs for 13 as well, and was the creative producer of Type 0, or what was then Agate 13. And like from that point on, like really he started to just kind of explode as kind of the person who was in charge of
like everything
Final Fantasy. Like
he's like their brand person.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially the creative producer on Final Fantasy. Like outside of the main series games, pretty much everything that happens with regards to the Final Fantasy franchise is pretty much it comes from his mind.
Yeah.
So whether you're looking at Dissidia, like the movies that they work on, Theatrhythm, World of Final Fantasy,
like everything.
Even All the Bravest, like all of those games were originated from Nomura's mind, essentially. And like whenever he's talked about how busy he is, he's always just like, well, I just come up with the ideas, I let other people make them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Little Cauliflower asked like how everyone's feeling about Nomura, and the reason, that's kind of the reason why I wanted to make this week's chat about Nomura, because at D23 he had that interview, like a roundtable interview with a lot of Western publications, and you know that he chose that point in time to basically air his frustrations with the fans in a way. Because he's got this label of his games taking a considerable amount of time to release, and I'd say the main reason for that label is Versus 13. Yeah. Because before Versus 13, any product he was involved with actually was pretty quick. I mean, like his first kind of directorial role was Advent Children. There were delays involved, but it came out in Japan on time. Like Before Crisis, Last Order, like a lot of the games that he was working on, they came out on time. Like it was no real trouble. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 came out in timely manner. The spin-offs like had a consistent release schedule.
Praveen, he hasn't directed a mainline Final Fantasy game before.
Who else that?
Praveen.
Yes, no. Nomura he's directed Advent Children, but he's never directed a game.
No.
But yeah, like I think the whole thing with Kingdom Hearts 3, it kind of skewed things because there were Kingdom Hearts games coming out in the interim. Yeah. It's just that because Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't that game, again, people got that perception that his games are taking a really long time to work on and stuff. It's just like he wasn't intending to work on Kingdom Hearts 3 at that point in time. Yeah. So, how am I feeling about Nomura right now? I've gained more respect for him. Yeah. After doing that interview, I think it was quite ballsy for him to. I mean, for everyone who has no idea what I'm talking about right now, in this interview he said that he was upset about the reputation he's gained for his games taking a long period of time, and apparently he's spoken a lot about this with the Japanese media, but it's never really filtered over to the Western media somehow. I don't know how.
They were just like creative translation.
Well, like it seems like a pretty big deal. I don't understand how no one picked up on this if he's been talking about the Japanese, like to the Japanese media quite a lot. Yeah. Lauren's upset about the fact that she's not excited.
I am.
But yeah, he basically said that Kingdom Hearts 3 would have already launched if it wasn't for decisions made by upper management within Square Enix. One of the big things was the shift from the Luminous engine to Unreal Engine 4. And he even went on record, I think back in 2015, saying that when they were working on Luminous, I guess he knew about what was happening internally, but he basically said they announced this game too soon. The fans are going to kind of get pissed off about the fact that it's going to take such a long time for us to put out because of the changes, like because the decision was made, not by him or anyone on the development team, that they were going to shift from using Luminous to Unreal Engine 4 because there are wider implications for the company. You know, it was more of a, I guess, a positive forward-thinking move. But the problem was that they had to then do a load of stuff from scratch again.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a tough position to be in because, yeah, like, as he said, like, when they were initially doing the planning for Kingdom Hearts 3, he and the development staff and all the project managers and everyone, they sat down and figured out, this is how long it will take to release the game. This is how many hours we need. This is the resources we need when. And that plan was submitted and approved by Square Enix. Square Enix then, like a year into development, came and said, sorry, you have to change game engine. Well, great. Thanks for that. Like...
Yeah. It's like, you know, you've just worked so hard to make everything work in this current engine, and then having to even just relearn a new engine as well.
Oh, do you want to put a link to the interview if you can find it?
Yeah, I can do.
It's on DualShockers.
But yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of getting the misconception that, like, a lot of people are taking it as he's, like, coming after Square Enix. But, like, Daryl and I have talked about it, and we really don't think that's the case. We think it's more so just that he's just trying to explain the reasons why. He completely respects why Square Enix upper management made the decisions that they did, especially when it came to the Luminous engine.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, he just wanted to address that it wasn't necessarily just him. But I don't think it's a case of Nomura is blaming Square Enix for all of his problems.
No,
he's just shining a light on the fact that it's not just him.
I mean, like, as soon as I saw that interview and I was reading it on DualShockers, I knew, like, the way that people were going to interpret it to get clicks. And that's exactly what Kotaku did. They just said, like, Nomura blames Square Enix for all of Kingdom Hearts 3's delays. And it's like,
they want to change the narrative.
Yeah, like, you can look at it that way if you want to, but the way I saw it was that Nomura was, like, very, like, he had a lot of integrity with the way he answered things. And the only reason he really said anything was because he's been painted with this fake, false reputation. Like, there's this thing going around that he takes a long time personally to make games. If he's working on any game, it's going to take a decade to come out. And he's like, no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And so he cited Square Enix as the reason for the delays, like upper management in Square. But he was very clear with the fact that he completely agreed with the decisions they made.
Yeah.
It's just that because of those decisions that were necessary to make, not that he was making them himself, but they were necessary to make. That's what caused the delay.
Yeah.
And like, he said openly that he felt the game was released too early. But announced too early. But at no point was he saying, like, everyone should blame Square Enix for the delays to this game. It's not my fault, like, or any of that stuff. He was just, I don't have a track record of releasing games badly. It's not through decisions I make. But that's not to say that I disagree with the decisions.
I believe it's that one. I believe it's that. It's that thing.
No, it's not.
Oh no, it's not. Okay. Which one is it?
You can get it from the comments on the video. In the.
Or is it one of these ones?
Huh.
Hold on, sorry.
It's that one. You must. Yes.
Okay, it's this one. Okay. Sorry, I sent the wrong link. Here you go.
But again, like, Anthony, it wasn't necessarily the fact that Square didn't have enough employees to work on it. It's more the fact that they had a plan to get Kingdom Hearts 3 out at a certain period of time, and then because things changed, like, that plan wasn't appropriate anymore. And, like, you could easily say, they should replan, which is probably what they did. Yeah. But the problem was that as a company, then their priorities have changed. Like, the kind of pieces they had aligned no longer aligned perfectly. So it wasn't the fact that they had a lack of staff. It's the fact that the staff had something else that they had to prioritize instead. Yeah. So, like, it wasn't, he couldn't, it seems to happen a lot of Square. Maybe they should have more employees, but they also have to try and be profitable. Yeah. Like, they can't just hire more people and then just have a massive loss of cash.
Yeah, I think they also just had a massive problem with the Luminous engine, didn't they? Like, I think they were really...
Well, no, Final Fantasy 15 is working on the Luminous
engine. It is, but they're not going to use it in the future, are they?
Yeah, Tabata's is still carrying using it.
Still going to use it.
It's just, I don't think it was appropriate for Kingdom Hearts 3, because the whole thing was that Kingdom Hearts 3 is like a multi-platform game.
Yeah.
I mean, Final Fantasy 15 is as well.
Yeah.
But not in the same way. Like, there is... the rumors going around about the Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out on Switch. Like, it just, I think because of the time frames they had.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely do announce games too soon. And it's a real issue that they have in terms of just not really understanding, or I don't know. Like, I mean, Final Fantasy, and that's the problem. It generally happens to Nomura.
Yeah.
The games that he is primarily working on get announced too soon. Yeah. And then he gets lumbered with this reputation that everything is his fault. He's to blame, blah, blah, blah.
But then, like, they don't really do themselves any favors, because you think about the fact that, like, they almost sort of promote new games within their games themselves. Like, you think about, like, Kingdom Hearts, which one was it? Forget which one it was. It wasn't the original Birth by Sleep, I don't think. But it was one of them where, like, they announced Birth by Sleep 2, like, part 2. And it's just like, okay, well, this game isn't even in development yet. And then it got to a point where everybody completely forgot that Birth by Sleep 2 was completely announced in a secret cutscene. And he's done that with a lot of the Kingdom Hearts games. Like, a lot of the Kingdom Hearts games get a sort of a teaser for what's to come. And so, you know... like, he's no what's the word? He's just as guilty of doing that, of creating hype for something that
I mean, but you always want hype around upcoming projects.
You do, but is it the place to do it when you've just released the game?
So, a couple of questions, right? So, how much input does Disney have on Kingdom Hearts? I think they've become more involved over time.
Yeah.
Especially with Kingdom Hearts 3, the fact it's being shown at D23 in such a big way.
Yeah.
It never really used to happen that way, as far as I'm aware. So they are more involved. No.
There wasn't a Birth by Sleep 2. No. They had a secret ending in one of the games that was essentially
it was called
a
Birth
trailer
by Sleep
for Birth by Sleep Volume 2.
It became
Birth by Sleep 0.2.
Yeah. So, and then what was the other question? Mouse Crusader asked, do you think Nomura is voluntarily taking on the projects he's on, or is Scott piling work on him? Or is it, I think it's a little bit of both. I was actually, when I was doing the research around the Nomura video I just did, talking about this interview, I was trying to find older interviews where he'd talked about, because I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere, but I think I was making it up, that he thought that Kingdom Hearts 2 was also announced too early. But when I was looking at that, I found... so in the Ultimania for Kingdom Hearts 1, I think, basically, in like the early 2000s, Nomura was hospitalized because he was working too hard. He was like getting no sleep whatsoever. He is typically working on 6 or 7 projects at any given time. And yeah, he got hospitalized while he was in America because he was just burnt out. He was gone.
Yeah.
And he kind of just said, well, that's just the way I am. Like, I'm not going to stop working. And he still carried on at the same pace.
Yeah.
I think he's probably just managing a little bit better now, but like everyone in the company thinks he's just inhuman because he never stops. He is always working on everything. So when he like in the Ultimania, he said he was working on 6 projects plus loads of stuff that wasn't even announced yet. So what he's doing right now is just par of the course for him. Like, it's just what he does. I don't know how he does it, but he just loves it.
Just to let you guys know that I'm not like BSing. I just posted up one of the news posts of the final mix. It was actually Birth by Sleep final mix where they put it in, and like it is
they did actually call it
Birth by Sleep Volume 2. So just so my name is clear.
But yeah, I mean, Nomura deserves a rest, but I don't think he wants one.
No, I think he's one of those people who enjoys working. He's even said that he's enjoyed working on 2 games at once.
Yeah.
But like, it's whether or not his body can continue to do so. I don't know. I mean, it would really be a shame if there was another console switch in between. I mean, it's very possible that there will be a console change while Final Fantasy VII Remake is being released.
Yeah, I mean, the PlayStation 5 is already... They're already talking about it.
I know, because, like, the fact that, you know... Like, what'll they do? But at the same time, with the next generation of PlayStation, like... companies really jump the gun to try and move to the next console, which is fair enough, but like the previous PlayStation will still have a lot of life left.
Yeah, I mean, the next console generation is going to be weird. Like, we're in a kind of mid-generation right now, which we've never had before. If you remember, between the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4, it took like 2 years before people started shifting over. Like the first year or a year and a half of the PlayStation 4's life cycle, there were barely any new games. Most of it was just remasters of PlayStation 3 games, and everyone was still releasing games on both consoles. Even Destiny was on both consoles. Like, it's taken a while before the PlayStation 4, Xbox One exclusive games started to come out.
I think they as in terms of why they chose Nomura, I think it's because he's a name draw, and he's also very close to the franchise. He's very close to the source material. I mean, Final Fantasy VII was kind of like his first sort of thing, his first sort of big project, and he's one of the only ones still working and still directing at the company of the original sort of guys.
I mean, Roxas 180. I think the negative for it being cross-gen is that back in February, after the 30th anniversary opening ceremony, Katase was doing an interview with Famitsu, I think it was, and he was speaking about the fact that his big challenge as executive producer is that he needs to make sure that the quality of the games across the different parts is consistent. I'm not sure how you can do that if it's across 2 consoles. Like, how can you make sure the quality is consistent? Because if you've got the first part on the PlayStation 4 and then the second part on the PlayStation 5, you're going to have to make the next part 2 worse than it needs to be, so that it has parity with the first part. Like, that just seems like a really stupid decision to me.
Yeah. I know. We're doing well, John. Thank you. I'm a bit sleepy. I have had poll on Sunday night, so afterwards I'm just a bit drained from working out too much.
I think Rachel asks if would we want someone else to direct the Final Fantasy VII Remake if Nomura was unavailable, I guess.
I don't know who else would be capable. Like, I mean, the thing with the Final Fantasy VII Remake is that it's a huge thing. Like, it's huge.
It's one of the biggest games in history.
And so they really need... They can't risk it for a biscuit, essentially. They can't risk it on somebody who may not deliver what they need to deliver. And, you know, like I said, they're kind of lacking in what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, like, so in the Final Fantasy 15 survey, I asked people to, like, who they think should be the next director of the big game. Most people didn't even know who the directors were.
Yeah.
Like, I think everyone knows Tabata because he's just done 15. I think everyone knows Nomura. But outside of those two, people don't know who's directed the previous games that's even at the company anymore, because Sakaguchi's gone. Katase is basically retired from directing.
Yeah, Katase doesn't
Ito,
want to direct anymore.
he hasn't worked on any Final Fantasy game for a decade.
And the issue sort of stems from the fact that, like, so Sakaguchi was very intelligent with what he did, and I think we've addressed this before, but, like, Sakaguchi was extremely...
He had a succession plan.
He had a succession plan, and that's not what they had after Katase sort of pulled out. Like, they just didn't have who they could who would inherit essentially the responsibilities. They didn't do that. And I think that they could have done with maybe Nomura and Tabata if they could have, because essentially what they did was they had Kitase and was it Ito?
Yeah.
They essentially had them as a super group.
So once Sakaguchi, after Final Fantasy V, Sakaguchi decided he was no longer going to direct. He was becoming more senior in the company. And Final Fantasy VI was co-directed between Kitase and Ito. Kitase took charge of the story. Ito took charge of the battle systems.
Yeah, their strengths.
Then Kitase did Final Fantasy VII while Ito worked on tactics. Final Fantasy VIII, now it's not really promoted or anything, but Kitase was the main director, but Ito was also working as the kind of director of the battle systems again, just not at the director level. Final Fantasy IX, then Ito took charge. Final Fantasy X, then Kitase, they both kind of worked solo. But then Final Fantasy XII, Ito was involved again with Matsuno, so there was a consistency there. 13 came around, and like they were just like, well, Kitase doesn't want to do it anymore, I guess. He's again too senior. He's done his Sakaguchi thing, step away. But who have we got? We've got Toriyama, who's worked on Revenant Wings and 10-2. Two games that were sequels, and to be honest, weren't that well received. But I guess they wanted to give him a shout.
Yeah.
Why they then, I mean, obviously from a financial perspective, I know why they did it, but like the 13 trilogy wasn't a good idea, really. Because it's kind of,
as much as we like we do,
it's
don't mind
more what
them.
it's done to Toriyama. Like Toriyama's kind of become tarnished now. Like no one particularly wants him to work on Final Fantasy 16, for example, because they're fearful that it's going to be 13 again.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really give him that chance to experiment and try other things in the way that the other ones had.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we've got that situation where, like, Tabata said he doesn't want to do another Final Fantasy game. Nomura's doing the Final Fantasy VII remake. Who else is there?
Yeah.
To work on a game?
And like a lot of their heavy hitters, like Nojima and stuff, they're all working on Mobius. Like they're all just kind of stuck doing their own things, and yeah, it's just kind of a shame. Well, Vane, it's sort of what we were talking about earlier from the interview. It's kind of like a mixed bag, really. I don't think anybody's really solely to blame. It's mainly just the way that the cookie crumbles. I mean, it's the same reason why something like StarCraft 2 was delayed for like 10 years. It's just the evolution of the industry and sort of what they're doing, and you know, companies, big heads of the companies need to make decisions.
Alex, you're not the only person who likes 13. I really like 13.
Yeah,
but
no.
I can accept that there are parts that could have been a lot better.
Yeah, and like the issues with the Fabula Nova Crystallis, I think it was just very... It was very unorganized, and things just took too long to do for them to make it successful.
I don't necessarily think it was Toriyama's fault either.
No.
I think it was more that it was maybe too much too soon for him to bear, like on his shoulders. Because I don't know how involved Kitase was with regards to guiding him and helping him. Because like Final Fantasy 13, it bears no real comparison to any of Kitase's games.
Yeah.
And so like even though it's Kitase who was the executive producer on it, I don't really see any Kitase imprint on that game.
No. And as for like Square Enix needing new people, I mean, it's the thing, like Square Enix, they've got plenty of people. It's just how they use them, really. I mean,
it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's like the more successful things become, the more risk gets involved. So back when they were doing Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they could experiment a lot. Like Final Fantasy 6, I'm sure that Sakaguchi, the pressure that Kitase and Ito were under was big. I mean, the game was a multi-million seller, but nowhere near as big as it is right now to direct the next Final Fantasy game. That's like mass media, mega spotlight. You know, think about the amount of pressure that Tabata has been under over the last 3 years, like intense scrutiny from every corner. Like no matter what decision he made or anything that he said in an interview, it was latched upon constantly having to like do retractive statements, clarify comments he's made, like, and even with like the decision to delay the game, like the guy, like, you have to be a very certain type of individual to be able to deal with that. And you know, it's a massive risk. Like, how do you know in Square that someone within like the lower echelons, let's say, is ready to step up and become like basically one of the most scrutinized people in the video game industry, which is an intense field. Like, it's such a big responsibility.
It is.
That, like, I don't think many other gaming companies have. Like,
I mean, it's like if you can imagine somebody taking over the Metal Gear Solid franchise from Hideo Kojima.
The next person who makes a Metal Gear game is going to be like under such a spotlight.
Yeah, like, I mean, people freaked out.
The worst one is like the next, who's going to take over from Miyamoto? Like, I like, they're going to be crapping themselves.
Yeah.
Like, when he decides that it's like he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, and it's crazy that he's been doing it for so long anyway.
Someone said before about Sakaguchi though. Like, I know he said he doesn't want to do HT games, but I don't see that as his job. I don't see that as his role. Sakaguchi is a storyteller. He's a storyteller. That's what he loves doing. And I think, you know, the whole thing with him working on a Final Fantasy game came up, and I would see it as you have that kind of combination again. Sakaguchi and Ito would make a great game. Like, Sakaguchi on the storytelling and the crafting. Get in, what's the guy's name? He works on all the movies, did Kingsglaive and stuff.
Oh, Nozue. Nozue.
And then get Ito to work on the battle system, because Ito is a battle system genius. Like, he just comes up with really great systems.
Yeah. Metal Gear will live on in the past games.
No, Miyamoto has, but that's the thing. Like, back in the past, Miyamoto was a revolutionary person. Like, he came up with so many amazing franchises.
Yeah,
but for the last 20 years, like, he hasn't really done that much.
No, but then, like, he hasn't really need to. He's more just like a testament to Nintendo and how long they've been able to keep it going. He's like a mascot for the company.
But
really,
the problem is that he's also like this kind of, like, I think everyone in the company is afraid of him, because like he's the final say on every decision. And like, you know, I think a lot of people are scared of him.
Yeah, possibly,
because he's got such this reputation. He's so well loved.
Yeah.
Do you want to be the person that
goes against him? Which is true, but
it's the problem with these companies. They don't think about the opportunities and stuff. And I think,
and they don't think about the future. And really,
like, from what we've seen, like, Tabata is trying. So obviously with Agito, he gave that to another team to work on. He just produced it. And then what we're seeing right now with the DLC, episode Gladiolus and episode Prompto, Tabata has not directed those. And I don't think that many people realize that Tabata has actually stepped away from Final Fantasy 15 now. Like, he's still doing some interviews and stuff, but he's not directing the DLC. Nishi is. Right? Nishi?
Don't know.
He's the cool guy. The guy we love.
Yeah. Oh, I forget what his name is. But yeah, and I'm sorry we're not smiling more. I'm really exhausted.
We're not smiling enough?
No, somebody said that we're not smiling.
It's a serious conversation, damn it. But no, like, I think
if Yoko Taro did Kingdom Hearts, there would be a lot more underwear.
But no, I think, like,
next question
with Tabata, like, if people are like enjoying the DLC, like, look it up. I'm pretty sure it's Nishi, Kentaro Nishi, I think it is. But either way, like, if people are enjoying that, he's getting the experience. Like, he attended the, like, a 30th anniversary event in Yokohama. He did a 2-hour segment with like loads of other creators.
We're not doing very well.
You found it yet?
Alright, so episode Gladiolus. Damn it. Where's the development? Oh, why?
Just look up the videos I've done on it.
That takes too long.
It doesn't. It's quicker.
Episode.
No, like the scripts and stuff.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, like I think he's trying to give people experience and exposure to different things. I think that's good because like if you think like Stabata is the director of his division, he's the head of BD2. Like why not give like one of the people that are kind of just below him the opportunity to direct their own game?
To be honest, guys, though, even though you guys are saying that you want Yoko Taro to direct a Final Fantasy game, you do not want Yoko Taro to direct a Final Fantasy game. Do not, like, take Nier Automata or Nier as a sort of... Like, they're great games. They're fantastic, and Nier is actually my favorite. But if you play the Drakengard series, you'll see why. It's very dangerous to have him make a Final Fantasy game by himself, because Drakengard 3 is about like the most perverted game I think I've ever witnessed aside from like Mugen Souls. Oh, there I was gonna find a name.
Shida. It's Shida. Kenichi
But
Shida.
like seriously, guys, like if you've not played like Drakengard 3, there is a main character whose sole objective is to
most of them are obsessed with sex.
Yeah, get like essentially sex slaves. And like Final Fantasy just can't do that. Like Final Fantasy has a sort of line that they can't cross because of just their prestige that they have.
For some reason with the Nier and Nier Automata, Yoko Taro works.
Yeah, they're completely different.
Drakengard, I really can't get into that well.
No, I don't like Drakengard. I must admit, I'm not a big fan. But like, yeah, like.
Lauren's been distracted. She's seen the comment.
I like glowing. Oh, thank you.
But yeah, so yeah, it was Kenichi Shida. So Kenichi Shida is the person who's directing the Final Fantasy 15 DLC, not Hajime Tabata. And like once the Final Fantasy 15 DLC is done, why not give Shida his own game to work on? Like what's the negative for that? Like give him the chance to prove that he's ready to step up and work on his own game, and just have Tabata kind of oversee it and make sure he's doing okay, and then Tabata can work on his own game. Like that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Oh my god, if Yoko Taro there just would be, you just assume that the whole cast is gonna die at some point.
We've played Leisure Suit Larry. Don't worry.
Yeah, we have played Leisure Suit Larry.
Lauren was actually playing it.
I was playing it the other day. I was. I can't believe we're admitting that right now.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hey, great franchise.
It is. It's fun.
Someone else is saying something. What?
I mean, I don't want to get into Nier Automata because I know that. Well, one, we're not a Nier Automata podcast.
Could be.
Two, I don't want to spoil too much for people.
But yeah, so World of Final Fantasy, do I think it's good? Yes, I do think it's good. I think the battle system is a great evolution of the ATB system. It's like an old style, but they modernized it, and it works fine.
Do you wait? What
World of Final Fantasy?
World of Final Fantasy. Oh yeah, World of Final Fantasy is great. I love World of Final Fantasy, and I love the way that they had the cameos. Like I think that they did really well with the cameos. I think anybody who's looking for that Kingdom Hearts game where they mix all of the Final Fantasy characters together and have them interact with each other, World of Final Fantasy is where it's at. Like if you expected more Final Fantasy out of Kingdom Hearts, play World of Final Fantasy, because like seriously, there are some jaw-droppingly adorable moments.
Yeah.
Especially like you wouldn't, between characters that you wouldn't even like think, like Squall and Sheik. Squall and Sheik. Squall and what's her name? Shulk.
Gilgamesh and Snow. That was a fun one.
That's Yoko Taro Resident Fantasy. We just talked all about that. But yeah, no, I do love World of Final Fantasy.
It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Nier now, because Square Enix are not going to ignore the fact that Nier Automata has sold extremely well.
No.
They are going to want they're going to want that franchise to continue, and it's whether or not, now that it's got more of a spotlight and people liked it, that Yoko Taro is able to retain what he's created with it. But
that's the other thing as well. Like Yoko Taro really likes to have the freedom to do what he wants, And he's not going to want to do a Final Fantasy game where he's going to be having to be reined in and really like told what to do.
And I think that's the good thing.
He wouldn't
Nier
want to.
And Drakengard is the fact that, okay, so now it's going to have wider appeal, but the expectation is that he just does what the hell he wants. And if people don't like it, they don't buy it. He doesn't care.
Because that's the whole thing about the reason why he went with Platinum Games to do Nier Automata is because he basically told them point blank, I'm in charge of everything. Like, this is my game. Like,
Praveen, it's a difficult thing because like we ran through this on our podcast episode 151. I mean,
they've said, haven't they? They've done their whole like, if there's demand, there might be a new Evil East
Well, that
game.
wasn't him that said it. It wasn't Matsuno that said it.
No, it wasn't Matsuno, but they'd have said.
So basically, the problem that we have with Square at the moment is that pretty much all of the old directors and like the old kind of dignitaries from Square, they've all basically just bowed out because they can't deal with modern game development. Like Yasumi Matsuno, who created the Evil East franchise, after he stopped working on Final Fantasy 12, he's basically just been working on mobile games. Like that's what he does now. Like Sakaguchi works on mobile games. Kitase is kind of just said, nope, see you later. The guy who directed Final Fantasy 11, who was actually one of the main people in the original Final Fantasy games and created the Chocobo Moogle, is now working on like handheld games. Like they don't want to work on the new big modern AAA 4K graphics games. Like it's I mean like they can create stories and scenarios and worlds, but in terms of like how they translate that into modern day games, like they don't really want to get involved with that.
It's not necessarily like the character designs as well. Like I don't know where this sort of chat went to, but like it's not necessarily the character designs that are sexualized or like not sexualized in Yoko Taro's work. It's more so the content. And I mean, like, to be honest, Nier Automata was severely diluted, surprisingly, for a Yoko Taro game. Like, that was probably like Diet Coke Yoko Taro.
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember in Nier, the first thing you hear is freaking Kaine's speech. Let me just find it for you, and I will try my best to censor it as much as I need.
Just put a link to it.
Opening line. Well, I don't know if people are like listening to stuff. All right, so it says, Vice, you dumbass. You better start making sense, you rotten book, or you're going to be sorry. Maybe I'll rip your pages out one by one. Maybe I'll put you in a goddamn furnace. How can someone with a big smart brain be hypnotized like a little bitch, huh? Oh, Shadowlord, I love you, Shadowlord. Come over here and give Weiss a big sloppy kiss, Shadowlord. Now pull your head out of your goddamn ass and start effing helping us. Like, could you imagine that in a Final Fantasy game?
And that's like the first thing you hear.
That's the first thing you hear. And like that's not the only swear word that she says in that game. She swears like a freaking sailor. And I just like Yoko Taro he likes to push boundaries, and I just can't see him touching a Final Fantasy.
The storytelling that Yoko Taro does in all of his games is so far beyond anything that anyone else does.
Yeah.
Like the way that he works the different endings in, he basically keeps you guessing, and like you as a gamer, I guess like if you don't play the full experience, you're ruining it for yourself. And that's like the weird thing about his games. Like if you decide, if you played his games like a normal game, and you were like, I finished the game, now I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
You'd basically think the game
you miss out on so
much. Like with Nier Automata, you're missing out on like basically most of the game.
Yeah.
Which is just weird to think about, because but that's the way he is. Like no other games, no other directors really are create games the way he does. Like he challenges things, he does things in completely different ways. Like he just is so far away from the normal. Like when I played through Nier, played the second playthrough, that it just blew my mind in terms of like the way he told the story. It's just weird.
And Itazura P, that's from Nier, the original Nier. That is the opening line of the original Nier.
And a fun fact, on one of our podcasts when we interviewed Laura Bailey, we got her to, because she does the voice of Kaine and Sarah.
Yeah.
We got her to we got her to speak
I think
with Kaine's monologue, but as Sarah, or the other way around. I can't remember.
I think we might have had her do some lines as Kaine as Sarah.
Yeah, it was a bit.
It was a bit
funny.
of a backwards thing, but no, it is so funny to listen to between the two because they are just such different characters. But to be fair, like, I mean, Final Fantasy, aside from Kingdom Hearts, it's one of Square Enix's like biggest franchises. They don't want to F it up because if they do, like, it's just bad for business.
Well, I mean, like, so basically what Cloud Left Series said there, like, I mean, do you remember when Versus 13 showed blood? And everyone was like, oh my god, this game's going to be mature.
Yeah.
Like, Final Fantasy isn't a mature rated game.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Like, it was supposed to be a mature rated game. Like, Versus 13 was supposed to be maturely rated.
Yeah.
But they lowered it down to make it more accessible for people because people don't expect Final Fantasy games to be that gory. But there again, like, Final Fantasy 7 is freaking... that pushes a lot of boundaries. Like, that really sort of
but it does it in a
line.
different way. Like, there's blood in Final Fantasy 7, but it's not like stabbing. Like Aeris's death has no blood.
No, there's that, but like the blood throughout the halls.
Yeah, but the whole thing is it's done in a completely different way. It's like, it's not gore.
But it makes me really uncomfortable.
And yes,
and
Rachel,
snake.
That was the interview that we did with Laura Bailey. That Troy Baker just gate crashed.
Yes.
Just turned up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. They live like right next to each other. Or they did at that point. I don't know if he moved or she moved now. But yeah, no, they basically lived like right next to each other. We spent like a great deal talking about Nomura. I'd say we've spent a great deal of the conversation talking about Nomura.
And to reiterate, I will go back to what I was saying before. So Nomura recently did an interview where at D23 where he was talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 and why it's not coming out as early as he was anticipating. He was basically saying that the game was delayed because upper management made decisions around the engine that they were supposed to use like partway through development, and also because of the delay due to the engine change, that staff were taken away from working on the product to focus on other things, probably like Kingdom Hearts 2.8, I would imagine, or Final Fantasy 15, or even the Final Fantasy 7. I don't know, but staff were taken away, and we were just saying how like I respected the way he answered that question because it could have been he's probably frustrated about the fact that he is. I mean, he said he's upset about the fact he has his reputation for his game taking a decade to release, but it's not really his fault that the games take that long. I mean, Versus 13 is completely not his fault in terms of why it took so long. I mean, like, if you haven't watched my video about the Type 0 history or the history of the Type franchise, Lauren's going to put a link in there for everyone in a second.
For what? Sorry.
The history of the Type franchise.
Okay.
Definitely.
Sorry, I'm looking for something else.
Definitely watch that video if you can. Go.
I'm just trying to look up something, Darryl.
What?
I'm trying to look up what the rating was for Final Fantasy Type 0. Was that rated M?
It was M. Yeah, Type 0 is mature. That had blood everywhere.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was just trying to prove. I was just trying to say like that game was rated like M for mature, which is not what they would do. Yeah, there it is. Which is not what they would do with a regular Final Fantasy game.
That was a spin-off though.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, yeah. So Lauren in a second is going to put the link to. You don't need to look up the rating for.
It's 15. Team.
Put a link to the video now.
No, just give me a second.
Falseness. Lauren
I'm not a Capricorn.
She's not a Capricorn.
I'm a Taurus. Rar.
She's a bull.
Stubborn.
Anyway, so yeah, Type 0 guide. Lauren's going to put in a second. There it is, right there.
This one?
Yes, that one. So I did a video about Type 0, like talking about how the franchise was created, and like it really opened my eyes to Versus 13 and everything that was going on around the time after they announced the compilation, like the Fabula Nova Crystallis thing. Basically, when they announced it, 13 was in the works. Nothing else had been done, like on anything. They had rough concepts for the other games. Like Agito Agate 13, basically, I think it was Naora who said, the art director who ended up working on 15 with Tabata. When they announced Agate 13, they had the piece of artwork they showed. That was it. They had nothing else. They didn't even work on the game after that for like 2 years because they were so busy working on other stuff like Crisis Core and Parasite Eve, like before Crisis, like they just all these other things just happened, and they were just like, crap, we're gonna do this stuff instead now. Well, we can kind of delay that because 13 is gonna come out, and then people blah 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 blah. But it didn't work out that way. And Versus 13 was basically just the bitch of everyone else. Like every other game that the Square Enix were working on was a bigger priority than Versus 13 because it wasn't 13.
Also, yay! Tauruses unite. And like with the Witcher series, it's a much different situation because like, well, first of all, Final Fantasy, for some reason, everybody gets funny about the fact that there's multiple Final Fantasies. Like there's people who are outsiders who get like funny about like the fact that it's Final Fantasy 15. So they just sort of like are upset about that. So that's number one. Two, not everybody likes Final Fantasy and probably have played Final Fantasy games in the past, know that they're turn-based, and aren't really understanding the fact that it's significantly changed from Final Fantasy 15. Three, it's a Japanese title. So, like, Witcher series is a Western title made by a Western company. They probably do more, like, sort of westernized promotion for it.
I'd also say that's a very unfair comparison. You're comparing the Witcher franchise to one Final Fantasy game instead of the sales.
Yeah. But yeah, like I just think that Final Fantasy still has a bit of a it's still a bit of a niche is essentially where I was going with that. Whereas Witcher is a more universally...
Well, Witcher, they've made a like The Witcher 1 was very niche. Witcher 2, it got a bigger reputation. Witcher 3, it just kind of exploded.
Yeah.
They didn't foresee The Witcher 3 doing as well as
but
it
it's
has.
like, well, it's like Fallout as well. I mean, Fallout kind of exploded with 3.
Well, that's because it was made by Bethesda.
Yeah, but still.
But I mean, yeah, like you could easily.
Oh yeah, a Polish company. Sorry.
The Witcher 3 is basically their Final Fantasy 7. Like it's just exploded with The Witcher 3, and I think as it's Cyberpunk 2077, their other game they're working on, which may or may not ever come out. And that's that's a case in point. Like, yeah, other companies do announce games too early.
Yeah.
But the bigger companies generally don't. They're much more controlled and planned about things. Square still hasn't learnt that lesson yet.
Yeah. That's not really necessarily the point I was making. It's not the fact that it's a Japanese character, it's the fact that it's a Japanese game. Like that's sort of what I meant with that. I don't necessarily mean it's because like the Japanese character looks Japanese. No, really, in my honest opinion, I don't think most of the Final Fantasy characters look Japanese.
They tried in 10.
Yeah, they tried in 10. But like it's not necessarily about that. It's just the fact that it's a Japanese game. Like I just don't I mean it's difficult.
Like, quick straw poll before we dash off because it's almost 10.
Yeah. Gotta go to bed.
How many of you guys are actually excited that Nomura is directing the Final Fantasy VII remake? Are you still happy about it? Would you prefer someone else was directing the game? And if you would prefer someone else was directing it, who would you want to direct it? Because I think that's the question that we always come back to. Is like, some people are unhappy that Nomura is directing the game. They're worried about everything relating to the fact that he's directing the game. But who would you have instead? Because I can't think of anyone.
No.
And for anyone who says Katase, it's like, no, that just wouldn't work. He doesn't want to do it.
He doesn't want to do it.
He could have directed the game if he wanted to. He has that power. It's his game.
But he doesn't want to.
But he didn't want to. He wanted Nomura to do it instead. So, like, yeah, like, if you aren't happy about Nomura, who would you want to do it instead?
And also, Yoko Taro probably would not want to either.
No way he'd touch that.
No, he wants to do his own thing.
Tell you what, all those controversial scenes that people are like, oh, they're going to do this, he would be like, hell yeah.
And we're going to do it raunchier.
Yeah. We're going to do it better.
Yep. I don't know if it's necessarily that people actively dislike Japanese games. I think it's just
not
a
that
niche.
they don't have a preference. Yeah, like it's not that they actively don't like Japanese games. It's just they prefer Western ones. It's like that's why the differentiation between Western RPGs and Japanese RPGs even exists, because they're so different.
Because like it's really hard for me to sell to a general gamer Final Fantasy. Like it's just difficult because like it just from the fact that it's part of a huge franchise, and like not everybody wants that out of a game. Yeah, the stream's broken.
What is going on with the stream? I think it's coming. No, the stream is coming back.
Is it coming back?
Yeah, it stopped sending for some reason.
Meh.
Say we're back. Or we should be. Refreshed. Oh, yeah. We're back.
Hello.
But yeah. What is going on with the stream? Sort your life out, stream.
Sort your life out, mate.
Sort it out, bruv. Come on, man.
This is really not doing anything for my exhaustion.
Well, actually, I mean, before so 03XEO, sorry, if that's not the way it should be. I don't know if is it working? I think the stream's back. Okay, yeah. So Square Enix are actually experimenting with a lot of directors now, and they're using the mobile games for that. But yeah, like I mean, I Am Setsuna is actually directed by. Oh, what's he done? I forgot it somewhere. He's actually like a veteran of Square as well. Where did I even put this?
I don't know, Daryl's.
Oh, yeah, the guy who's directing I Am Setsuna actually worked on Final Fantasy Explorers. So he's not like a fresh director. He's obviously getting more experience. He's now working on Lost Sphere. But I mean, they are trying. There's loads of like the guy who's directing Brave Exvius is new. The guy who's directing Dissidia Opera Omnia.
They're basically just all working on freaking mobile games.
Mobile games, yeah. I was gonna say something else. Oh, plans for the upcoming week. So, I am currently working on the first part of the Final Fantasy 15 survey. I've decided to split into different groupings just because there's so much data to dissect. So the first video is going to be about it's super interesting when I've actually been going through it. We're going to be looking at what people that played Final Fantasy 15 for the first time, like they were kind of a veteran, they're franchise virgins, let's say. It was their first dip into the franchise, what they felt versus people who had played a previous game in the franchise, and it's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of a really catchy tagline that isn't flame bait, but it's difficult. It is like it's difficult.
We always think like we've done it. We've gotten we got a title that they can't say that we're clickbait or flame bait about, and then we just realized that we didn't.
Yeah, so that's going to be the first video. After that, there's going to be different looks at things like the DLC.
Oh yeah, we are over 30,000 now. Yay!
Congratulations to us, 30,000.
Oh,
you're fine.
Stop.
I think so.
I hope so.
Wait, where did we go? Camera's off.
I don't know.
No one saw it.
No.
No one saw the.
No one saw me get my nose hurt.
It didn't happen. There's no evidence. Or is there? We'll see. I don't think there was any evidence.
I love how you're paranoid that there's an evidence.
Hey,
I'm fine.
I don't be accused of anything.
You're not being accused of anything. You're fine.
But yeah, so yeah, that's going to be the first part of the survey. I'm going to be working on the Gambit videos. So obviously I did the beginner's guide to Gambits last week. I'm going to try and put out the advanced version of the Gambits. We'll see. But is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Yes, it cut off right before. Oh, that makes me feel so great. Yeah, so that's what we've got this coming week. Obviously, if Square Enix do anything newsworthy, then we're going to try and put up a video about that as well. But yeah, I think there's loads of stuff that we're going to be working on. We're going to be very busy.
Busy bees.
But yeah, before we go and we head out, if everyone who's in here right now could hit that like button on the video, that would be much appreciated. And yeah, if you aren't a supporter on Patreon, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. There has been some confusion around the pricing that we have on Patreon. A lot of people, I mean, it can be a bit ambiguous. I can understand why it's ambiguous, but basically, it says per video, but we don't actually charge per video. We charge one video per week, and you don't have to like. It doesn't. No matter what we charge out, you can set a limit. So if you only want to support one video per month, or one week, or one whatever it is, you can basically just say, I only want Patreon to charge $1 this month, or you can cap it. So because I mean, we could be completely nefarious and just spam like paid posts every day. Everyone would get extremely pissed off if we did that. But you know, you can set caps to stop us, like, to control your spending, basically, like if you are worried about that kind of stuff. So like, yeah, like if you're worried about the fact that it was like lots of paid posts and we're gonna just spam that every single time we do a video, that's not the case. We only do it like once every, like, there will be like a maximum of 4 or 5 videos, depending on how many weeks there are in a month, that get charged. Everything else is not charged. But yeah, Lauren's going to put a link in there if she hasn't. She's already done it.
I've already done it. Look at
so
me.
efficient. So efficient. But yeah. JK Bob Full. Yeah, this will be going up on YouTube straight after. So if you missed the stream, you can go and check it out. And yeah, I think we're going to go to sleep now.
Yes, we need sleep.
All right, guys. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you for next week's stream. Bye.